everyone, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be doing some fall tillage with the Great Plains Turbo Max. It's a 12-footer. We got it hooked up to the 7810 right now. If you guys have been watching the videos, you know that we purchased this last spring. We like what we seen, and we're going to try it out here on some fall tillage. Dad's getting it set up right now.
All experiment.
What do we have our angles set at right now?
Well, we're going to set it all the way. The theory is just to be more aggressive in the fall, chop up the stalks, and then in the spring you come back, straighten everything a little more and less depth, just to worm the soils, get your seed bed.
Well, let's try it out, and then we'll talk some in the cab. As you can see, you can angle them sharper or more straight on, so you can throw more or less dirt. It's up to you. You got a wide range. Right now, Dad's in the cab playing with his hydraulic flow, his settings, how fast it comes up and down. Just getting a feel for it before he takes off. This will be the first time for us using a turbo till machine like this in the fall on any of our fields. So we're excited to see how this stuff mellows out over the winter and what it looks like in the spring. Right now you can see it's really starting to work that residue in, especially here. We had a lot compacted in from driving around here where we didn't pick it all up when we were harvesting bedding. And then here where there's less stalks, you can see that it's really working it in. It's really incorporating that stuff nice. And we're not going super deep. It's nothing like a chisel plow or a moldboard plow. This is only going a couple inches. This field also has a lot of manure on it. Since this was our first cornfield that we harvested, we took advantage of it and made the bedding as soon as we could on here, put a bunch of manure on here. Now he's gonna work from the top down here, and this is where we left some bedding. So I'm excited to see what it does cutting through this heavy trash. Yeah, I think you could, since there's a lot of trash here on the edge, I think you could try throwing even more dirt right now.
The neat thing about this thing, like the disc will throw like a ledge.
This doesn't move the soil. Like, soil stays where it belongs. It just moves it up. Just how fast are you moving?
Well, be 6 to 6 miles an hour.
Okay, maybe a little faster if they can handle it. I think this machine likes speed.
Yeah, right. Well, we're setting it up here and then going uphill, probably run out of fuel. I'm gonna take another pass coming down and take off real fast here and see what it does. look
the difference between a single pass and then 2 pass and then just a deeper depth here. Like look at the dead center here, what 2 passes did, the amount of residue it buried. That's looking great. And then there's our first pass, a bit shallower. And then here's really deep as we can go. But like we were saying down here, you can tell he's struggling to pull that uphill. That takes a lot of power, that tool. It's moving a lot of material. There's a lot of metal hitting the ground, a lot of metal to soil contact there. It takes a lot of horsepower per foot to pull a tillage tool like that. cab now with Dad, and I figured we'd get his opinion, even though it's a pretty new opinion. He's only had this since the spring, and this is our first time using it in the fall here. The plan is with this field, it's going to be new seeding next year, so we're going to rotate it back into hay. We're trying things out here, seeing if we can maybe eliminate a couple passes of tillage, because in the past
we would chisel plow in the fall if the weather allowed us to, you know, after the corn stalks is off. I did manure my new seeding fields, which it's not always recommended because you end up with a lot of weeds sometimes because of that, but especially when the fertility was low, like on these knobs and stuff, I usually wouldn't manure them as much as corn. And then in the spring we would maybe disc or maybe dig and then disc and then drag it too, which really, you know, works it down.
And if not, drag it again afterwards too.
Yeah, and it's more about smoothing everything up and kind of burying some of the trash and that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of hoping this might eliminate some of those deep tillage passes.
Yeah. So the plan now is to use this again in the spring, but not, we're set as aggressive as it gets. And again, we're just experimenting. There's still a lot of corn stalks on here yet. We didn't chop it real close to the ground, so it's, and then this machine is designed to leave almost all the trash on top, but it does chop it up. It does move the soil
enough to incorporate it, but not bury it crazy deep.
Right, so it should be more mulched in. I guess it makes more of a mulch.
Create organic matter faster.
And that way, when it's on the surface yet, it prevents the erosion some too. Where a chisel plow, there's big deep ruts and it's almost too much. Yeah, so then we would just make one pass in the spring and then go through with our seeder. And again, it's mostly to kind of get the trash out, level it up nice.
Yeah, because you leave your hay in such a long rotation, 5+ years, you want a nice level field, a nice blank canvas to start with, because we're going to have to cross over that 3 times every year for the next 5+ years.
Yeah, cut, rake, bale in 3 different times. Yeah, it adds up.
And that'll be easier on your rake, your disc vine, your teeth on your pickup head for your hay baler or whatever you're using, your chopper.
So I mean, we don't have a real lot of acres, so we got time to maybe give it the extra effort, you know, to do it more right, I guess. Every year is different. My dad would moldboard plow everything, and back when I started here, I did a lot more moldboard plowing than we do today too. That was the thing, moldboard plow, and then in the spring he would disc and dig, and then drag, then plant, then drag again, and again, leave it in those rotations for 6, 8, 10 years in places where it's more hilly.
So you kind of touched on it earlier, but with it set super deep, it's pulling really hard. So
yeah, now this is like 150 horses, 7810. I mean, so what I'm trying to do is just a little strategy where it's steeper, go the direction so you're going more downhill in those steeper spots so you can get more speed and get it to do more what you want it to do.
Because I think they recommend closer to 10 mile an hour for something like this, ain't it?
Well, you can go, yeah, I think at least 7 to 10, but it's doing a fine job. It's not that we have to race across the field to make it do anything better. I'm looking at it, it's doing probably more than enough to the surface.
When it's pulling real hard, you're probably 6.5, and then on the downhill, you're probably getting closer to 8. So that's a rough range of how fast we're able to move with a 12-foot and the 7810.
It's a lot of iron. This machine is built heavy. I mean, that's the neat thing. I like Great Plains. They've been at this a long time, and it kind of specialized in the tillage side of things and the seeding and that. And I believe these machines, including our drill, is going to hold value forever. I don't believe it's ever going to go out of style, like there'll be something better out there or something.
Yeah, even like different avenues of agriculture, even the crop side of it, these vertical tillage machines are super popular, and a lot of guys like what they can do. So a pretty versatile machine for all types of operations, so it shouldn't go out of style.
Yeah, and there's not a lot to wear out. I was just looking at it before we got out in the field here. There's only 4 grease zerks on it that I can find, which are on the wheel hubs. Thinking once a year for what we do would be sufficient there. Typically every joint on these other machines has got some zerk in it. And on tillage, that all kind of plugs up, and it's kind of digging the dirt off the zerks to get them to take grease.
And then talking about other tillage, you got a piece you're gonna rotate out of hay, and the plan is with that.
When we take it out of hay, I used to chisel it in the fall and then do some more tillage in the spring and put corn in, and then we do corn 2 years. That's really the only place we use Roundup, it's anywhere between 6 and 12 acres every year. We would rotate out of hay. I would spray it with the Roundup as soon as everything greens up good, and then plant that with that 900 in the sod there. And that's the way the field next to this was done in the spring, except when it was really dry. That was kind of some of that didn't germinate till way later. Some of the plants are quite uneven there. Yeah. And then last year, this field too, this was a no-till field last year too. We noticed some different spaces in there because of the weather conditions that were, but we've had decent luck doing that. We had some real good yields from that.
Yeah, I think the stuff away from the trees on that no-till piece this year did really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
But then this stuff, which was turbo-tilled right before planting, it germinated and had a really even stand right off the bat.
I think this one it didn't look as better appearance-wise all the way through, but it definitely, when I picked it, so I remember last year, because I keep a lot of notes, we did fill a crib, and I think I had like half a gravity box left over to go to the next crib from this same field. And this year it was almost exactly the same, which usually the no-till sod the first year around will always do way better than the second year. You know, you're kind of using up a lot of the nutrients, so we did put fertilizers in, but a lot of manures, which they all get that anyway. I guess so far we're seeing some results, but it's going to take a lot of years to really notice differences from what we used to do.
Yeah, especially once we start using it in some more new seeding situations. That'll be really interesting to see.
So my dad, with the moldboard plowing, he'd always try to plow everything that was going to be planted in, whether it was going to be seeded or corn, try to plow in the fall if he could. And he said 9 years out of 10, it'll be more beneficial to fall plow. Your soils are warmer in the spring. They break up better when you start doing your final tillage in the spring versus spring tillage. It all depends on the weather again, how the rains come. If you could plow it up and get some nice rains to make the soil more mellow again, then till it. But typically in the spring, by the time you get in there, when it dries out enough, you plow it one day, you want to do your finishing the next day and plant it right away because of time.
Moral of the story is, from our conversation here, I think every technique when it comes to tillage, no-till, vertical tillage, deep tillage, it all depends on the field, the conditions, the farm, the type of year, the crop. There is no perfect answer or solution, and we're kind of trying a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we don't have that many acres that we can't give it a little extra attention. And I think a lot of it becomes, a lot of these big crop farmers, that's a lot of acres to go through. And if you're going to be doing a lot of tillage, that's going to really add up.
Yeah.
So if they can avoid something and still get a respectable crop, I think that's going to make a bigger difference. But here with all the cow manures and the residue, I mean, if we can go over a few spots twice,
it's not gonna affect profit at all.
It's not gonna mean as much.
Well, that's gonna be it for the tillage video. Maybe we'll get a couple extra clips of this machine going, but thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave plenty of comments down below on what type of tillage you use on your farm or the farmers in your area do. We'd be interested to hear about it. And as always, we'll see you guys next time.